Airport security just got turned upside down, and hackers claiming Islamic ties are the reason. While travelers waited for their flights, cybercriminals hijacked public address systems across North America to blast anti-Trump and pro-Hamas messages. We're talking Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and multiple Canadian airports including Kelowna, Victoria, and Windsor, all compromised in a coordinated cyber attack that left passengers confused and flights delayed. It's not just a prank, it's a signal. Airport security has vulnerabilities that bad actors are willing to exploit for political messaging. So, what exactly happened, and why are these particular airports being targeted? To understand that, we need to look at the broader pattern of cyber attacks hitting critical infrastructure and how this incident reveals dangerous gaps in our transportation security. On Tuesday evening, October 15th, 2025, something unprecedented happened at Harrisburg International Airport in Pennsylvania.
There. It's in Kelowna, BC, where the news organization that's local to the interior of BC, Castanet, they have shared an image with us taken by somebody in the airport at the time. It was. This is what was posted to the various communication boards, the boards that would normally display flight information. The airport saying that this was up there for really only about 20 seconds, the airport says, before they were able to take it down. But on it, there is some profanity, which we have blocked out here. And then the message essentially is claiming Hamas victory and then calling the U.S. President Donald Trump a pig. And we also do have a video out of the Pennsylvania Harrisburg airport of the PA system, the public announcement system that was also hacked here, and a message was played over that PA system. Again, there's profanity, and we have beeped that out, but I do want to play you a little bit of that clip because it gives you a sense of what passengers who were inside that airport at the time were listening to for what we understand was, somewhere around 3 minutes.
Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
Passengers waiting to board their flights suddenly heard a robotic voice echoing through the terminal speakers. But this wasn't your typical flight delay announcement. Instead, travelers were subjected to a looped message declaring, "Free, free Palestine," and using expletives to attack both President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The hacker even took credit, announcing Turkish hacker Cyber Islam was here before the message repeated again and again. Passenger Larissa Dean, who was waiting to board a Delta flight at the time, captured the surreal moment on video. "I was on the telephone and all of a sudden I just kept hearing this weird loop. It sounded kind of robotic and most people just seemed really confused," Dean explained. For about 10 minutes, this unauthorized political message dominated the airport's communication system while staff scrambled to regain control.
It's difficult to say why any one of these airports were necessarily targeted in this. We have one in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, then in Windsor, Ontario, and then two in British Columbia, Victoria, British Columbia, and in Kelowna, BC, the airport there. It's in Kelowna, BC, where the news organization that's local to the interior of BC, Castanet, they have shared an image with us taken by somebody in the airport.
The confusion was palpable. Nobody knew if this was some kind of emergency announcement gone wrong or something more sinister. But Harrisburg wasn't alone. This was part of a coordinated attack that hit multiple airports across North America simultaneously. At Kelowna International Airport in British Columbia, the digital assault took an even more visual turn. Hackers didn't just compromise the PA system, they took over flight information screens as well. Messages praising Hamas appeared on displays throughout the terminal, with text declaring, "Israel lost the war, Hamas won the war honorably. You are a pig, Donald Trump." The visual impact was just as jarring as the audio messages echoing through other terminals. Victoria International Airport and Windsor International Airport in Ontario also fell victim to similar breaches. At Victoria, airport officials described the incident as involving unauthorized audio content that was uploaded externally and played for a few minutes throughout the terminal. The pattern was clear. This wasn't random. Someone or some group had specifically targeted North American airports with the capability and intent to broadcast pro-Hamas, anti-Trump messaging to captive audiences of air travelers. The technical details of how these breaches occurred reveal concerning vulnerabilities in airport infrastructure. According to airport officials, the hackers gained access through cloud-based third-party software providers that manage PA systems and digital displays. This is particularly troubling because it suggests the attack didn't require physical access to airport facilities. It was conducted remotely through internet-connected systems that many travelers probably never realized were even networked. Victoria Airport Authority explained that their public address system was linked to a cloud-based external system, which became the entry point for the unauthorized access. Similarly, other affected airports reported that the cybersecurity incident was limited to a cloud-based third-party software provider. While airport officials were quick to emphasize that their systems are segregated to protect cybersecurity incidents from migrating from one network to another, the fact remains that critical passenger communication systems were compromised. The fact that these systems were networked and accessible through third-party software providers meant that hackers didn't need to physically infiltrate secure airport areas.
There were checks that were done, as we understand it. In the case of Windsor, I don't think there was actually almost anybody in the airport at the time this was happening. These are not particularly large airports, but the common thing is that they all do use this kind of communications system that's a third party, right?
Yeah, and I should say, we take care when we do a story like this because we're not trying to provide a platform for the people who took this over, but at the same time, we feel it's worth reporting, and one of the reasons why it's worth reporting is it shows you the vulnerability of these systems. And imagine if somebody tried to induce panic in an airport by taking over those boards. Transport Canada, what did they say?
Yeah, so Transport Canada, as well as these airports, has also put out its own statement. Let me read you what Transport Canada says. It says that the agency is working closely with federal security partners, including law enforcement, to ensure there are no impacts on the safety and security of airport operations and to mitigate disruption from similar incidents in the future. And I think, Ian, you can be sure that all the airports that were affected by this are doing the same to make sure this is something that's not going to happen again.
They could conduct their attack from anywhere in the world, exploiting vulnerabilities in cloud-based infrastructure that airports had adopted for efficiency and cost-effectiveness. The immediate response from airport authorities and government officials was swift, but revealed the seriousness of the security breach. At Harrisburg International, out of an abundance of caution, a Delta flight that was boarding during the incident was briefly searched by Transportation Security Administration personnel. The flight was delayed by 45 minutes while TSA conducted a complete security sweep of the aircraft. While no security issues were found and the flight eventually departed safely, the incident demonstrates how cyber attacks on airport systems can have real operational impacts beyond just the propaganda messaging. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy didn't mince words in his response, calling the hack absolutely unacceptable and saying it understandably scared travelers. He announced that the Federal Aviation Administration was working directly with Harrisburg International Airport to help get to the bottom of this hack. The concern from federal authorities was evident. If hackers can compromise PA systems, what other critical airport infrastructure might be vulnerable? Senator Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania expressed even stronger concerns, calling the incident extremely disturbing and warning that bad actors who target and threaten our nation's transportation security must be held accountable. His statement highlighted a crucial question that many security experts are now asking. If they hack the paging system in an international airport, what else are they tunneling into? This question becomes even more pressing when we consider the broader context of cyber attacks targeting the aviation industry. The FBI issued a warning just months earlier about a notorious cybercriminal group dubbed Scattered Spider, specifically targeting the airline sector. In June, this same group breached computer networks of multiple airlines in the US and Canada. And last month, hackers knocked out passenger check-in systems, causing long delays, cancellations, and chaos at airports across Europe. The pattern is clear. Aviation infrastructure has become a prime target for cybercriminals, and the attacks are becoming more sophisticated and disruptive. What makes the October 15th airport PA system hacks particularly concerning is that they demonstrate how easily bad actors can reach captive audiences in sensitive security environments. Unlike hacking a website or social media platform, compromising airport communication systems means reaching people who can't simply click away or change the channel. The political timing of these attacks is also significant. The hackers specifically chose to broadcast anti-Trump and pro-Hamas messages just days after a ceasefire agreement was reached between Israel and Hamas, a deal that was brokered by President Trump. 20 living hostages held in Gaza had been returned to Israel, while hundreds of Palestinian prisoners were released as part of the agreement. The hackers' messages seemed designed to undermine both the peace process and Trump's role in facilitating it. The technical sophistication required to coordinate simultaneous attacks on multiple airports across two countries suggests this wasn't the work of amateur hackers or lone wolf actors. The group identified itself as Turkish hacker Cyber Islam, claiming Islamic ties and expressing support for Hamas. While the true identity and capabilities of this group remain under investigation, their ability to breach multiple airport systems simultaneously indicates significant technical resources and planning. What's particularly troubling is how this attack exploited a vulnerability that many airports probably didn't even realize they had. Cloud-based PA systems and digital display management might seem like convenient, cost-effective solutions for airport operations, but they also create potential entry points for remote attacks. The response from Airport AU authorities has been to emphasize that the messages were political in nature and did not contain any threats against the airport, tenants, airlines, or passengers. While this may be technically true, the psychological impact on travelers and the operational disruption caused by the incidents suggests that the threat assessment might be incomplete. When passengers can't distinguish between legitimate emergency announcements and unauthorized political messaging, the security implications extend far beyond the content of the messages themselves. Canadian authorities conducted joint threat risk assessments with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and Transport Canada, ultimately concluding that the messaging displayed was not deemed to be a direct threat toward the traveling public. However, this assessment focuses narrowly on the content of the messages rather than the broader security implications of the breach itself. The incident also highlights the international nature of modern cybersecurity threats. The fact that airports in both the United States and Canada were targeted simultaneously suggests that cybercriminals view North American aviation infrastructure as a single, interconnected target. This has implications for how both countries approach cybersecurity coordination and information sharing about threats to critical infrastructure. Passenger reactions ranged from confusion to concern, with many travelers initially unsure whether what they were hearing was real or some kind of technical malfunction. Glenn Brown, a passenger at Harrisburg Airport, captured the sentiment of many when he said, "You had to do a double take and ask yourself if what you were hearing was actually real." This confusion is precisely what makes such attacks effective. They exploit the trust passengers place in official airport communications. The broader implications of this incident extend far beyond the immediate disruption it caused. It demonstrates that critical infrastructure systems that the public relies on for safety and security information can be compromised and used to broadcast unauthorized political messaging. This raises serious questions about the security of other networked systems in airports, from baggage handling to air traffic control communications. Cybersecurity experts are now calling for comprehensive reviews of how airports manage their IT infrastructure, particularly cloud-based systems that might not be subject to the same security protocols as core operational systems. The segregation of networks that airport officials emphasized in their statements may not be sufficient if hackers can use compromised PA systems as stepping stones to access other parts of airport infrastructure. The investigation into these attacks is ongoing, with multiple law enforcement agencies, including airport police, the FBI, and Canadian authorities working to identify the perpetrators and assess the full scope of the security breach. However, the immediate priority is addressing the vulnerabilities that allowed these attacks to succeed in the first place. For travelers, this incident serves as a stark reminder that the digital infrastructure we rely on for transportation is not immune to cyber attacks. While airport officials were quick to emphasize that flight operations ends were not directly affected and that the messages posed no physical threat, the psychological impact and operational disruption demonstrate that cybersecurity is now an integral part of transportation security. The timing of these attacks, coming just days after a major diplomatic breakthrough in the Middle East conflict, also highlights how cybercriminals are increasingly using infrastructure attacks to amplify political messaging. Rather than simply disrupting operations for financial gain or causing chaos, these hackers use their access to airport systems to broadcast specific political content to captive audiences. As airports and aviation authorities work to strengthen their cybersecurity measures, passengers are left to wonder what other systems might be vulnerable to similar attacks. See a case. The fact that hackers could take control of PA systems and flight information displays raises legitimate questions about the security of other networked systems that travelers interact with, from check-in kiosks to boarding gate displays. The incident also demonstrates the global reach of modern cyber threats. The attackers, claiming to be Turkish hacker Cyber Islam, were able to simultaneously target infrastructure in multiple countries, suggesting either significant technical capabilities or coordination with other groups. This international dimension adds complexity to the investigation and highlights the need for enhanced cooperation between U.S. and Canadian cybersecurity authorities. Moving forward, this attack will likely serve as a wake-up call for the aviation industry about the security of networked systems that might not be considered critical to flight operations, but are essential for passenger communication and airport operations. The lesson is clear: in an interconnected world, any networked system can become a potential attack vector, and comprehensive cybersecurity must extend beyond just flight-critical systems to include all infrastructure that could be used to disrupt operations or spread unauthorized messaging. Thanks for watching. If you want to see how cybersecurity threats are evolving across critical infrastructure, check out our other videos. And if you want to stay updated on how cyber attacks and transportation security are reshaping our daily lives, be sure to subscribe for more in-depth analyses and breaking news coverage.